Hello, welcome back to Bebop Review. My name is Andy Shaw. This is Sub News 5. I just want to answer a few questions because I think they're important. One was by Edgar Romano Guerrero. Hopefully I've spelt your name right. He says, hello, I have some questions. Have you heard Pascual Grasso? What do you think about him? What do you think of the bebop movement today? Do you have any alive favourite musicians or anyone who you could recommend? Thank you so much. I just want to say that I don't want to talk about any modern players. We're talking about the music of the 1940s. Most modern players today don't play like they did in the 1940s. It's kind of like bebop with bits added, or things like that, or what I call contemporary music, playing through changes but with John Coltrane and the hard bop influence and other influences as well. So I don't really want to talk about that. We're talking about pure bebop of the 1940s and early 50s. Right, people like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, Clifford Brown, Fats Navarro, Sonny Stitt, all those kind of people, right? Because they played the pure stuff, right, which we really want to be studying. And I don't want to be commenting on other people. If you like people of today, right, if there's any players you like, listen to them. What's it got to do with me? It don't really matter if you like them. It don't really matter what I think, So I don't want to talk about modern players, so please don't ask me to, say anything about any modern players, because I'm not going to do it. Okay. Right, the next question is, right, from somebody called Soviet Vape King, and he says, can you please recommend a good text on analysis of jazz? Which is a very difficult question to answer, right? No, I can't. I can't recommend a good text, right, on analysis of jazz. If you want to learn analysis of jazz, you've really got to do a music course from a college, right, like Berkeley or, University of Texas. I think this is a very good book. It covers a hell of a lot of stuff. This is the Hellman and Lorne Jazz Theory in Practice, right? And there's also one from Barry Nettles, who was the main professor at Berkeley College of Music, called Harmony and Jazz Theory. But they won't give you all the information. If you do a course on music, you will get much more information on whatever it is, you know what I mean? When I first started learning to play saxophone and that, I used to get books, and I just didn't get no out of them. And when I did music course at the Open University and the Berkeley Harmony, I just realised how little I actually knew. So not only that about these books is that what text can you recommend? You've also got to be saying to yourself, what type of text, i.e., what kind of study do you want? Because all American colleges and universities actually give different information. They've all got their own way of teaching. It's not like in the UK, where I live in England, right? Everything's based on the Royal School of Music's grading system. So if you're doing concert music or jazz, it's all based on their system. So when you do an exam, it's their exam. But in America, it's different. Each college has its own way of teaching. So University of Texas, which this is the textbook from, is different to Berkeley. Then you've got others. Not only that is, but you've got the United States Army's method of teaching. Now I think this is one of the big tragedies going of our modern times. The United States Army have a website where they're encouraging people to go on, this is what you can do in the Army, go here and go there. But they also had the United States Army bands, and they were telling you about joining the bands, and they still do. But they also gave you lots and lots of courses that you could look at and learn from. It was really, I tell you, their website, one of the best websites in the world on music. And since these terrorists have all come and everybody's scared, and you've got Trump in who's anti-Muslim and all this kind of stuff, it's gone right down. You just can't get any information now off the United States Army's website like you used to. What I'm saying is that was another way of teaching jazz. So there's all these different ways of teaching jazz. So when you say recommend a book, you've got to be saying what kind of method do you want to learn, So I would say if you want to learn two good books, get started on two good books: the Hellman and Lorne Theory in Practice and Barry Nettles Harmony and Jazz Chord Theory. I think it's really good. But then like I said, there's lots more books out there who are quite good. The thing about books is, on jazz theory and jazz harmony, you can't just take one aspect and think you're going to learn it. You've got to take information from all over and put it together. I've been saying this before and I'm still saying it. You can't get all the information you want on jazz from one single text. You've got to take it from a load of different texts and put it together. And there's a classic example in my next video, which in my next comment, which come from J Foss Guitar, who's found my site and finds it interesting, I presume, because he's left quite a few comments. This guy's quite an advanced player. He knows quite a lot, and he's left some of you probably think this is a very complex. If you're learning harmony for the first time, you might find this comment quite complicated. He says, from my understanding of dominant chords, the explanation that was given about alt chords is not entirely accurate. Here's my understanding, which I'm happy to be corrected on, of alterations on dominant chords and scale options. None of this is meant to be prescriptive or rules, rather than a pool of notes that best fit a given chord spelling. And then he goes, if a chord is a sharp 11 and no other alteration, the linear dominant mode, fourth mode of melodic minor is implied. And then he's going on at sharp 11 sharp. Yeah, if you've got sharp 11 chords, it's usually Lydian. You usually thinking Lydian scales, don't you? The thing about all this is, which is chord scale theory, is he's seen things linear, like that. That's for that chord, that's for that chord, that's for that chord. And you can't do that in jazz, I don't think, and really understand it. What you've got to do is you've got to kind of put it together and see how these things work together. And in that comment that he's got, he makes two actual he makes a statement where you put them together. When he's talking about the sharp 11 chords, he says fourth mode of melodic minor. Then when he's talking about the last one, he says if a chord has any combination of two alterations, and he goes flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, all that kind of stuff. He says that's actually a proper alt chord we're talking about there. He says the melodic minor half step above the root of the dominant chord. Now if you look, the first statement he says fourth mode of melodic minor, and the next one half a step from the root of the dominant chord. Now if you start putting all this information together, instead of seeing it linear, you can actually tell where an alt chord comes from, right? And this is the problem that I'm saying about education is you can't, because American society is different to English society in that the education system is not unified. Each state has its own unification. I mean, you've seen it, haven't you, in these gangster films where the gangster robs a bank in one state, goes across the border, and the police can't follow him because of different jurisdiction. And it's same with the law, the execution of the law. Some states in America have executions. Some states don't have executions, you know, and different ways of killing them. Some put them in electric chairs, some gas them, you know, some hang them, you know. So it's much more. It's not as the law and the society is not as unified as it is in the UK. Now I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you might get really good, you know, because each state's got its more own autonomy. You can get some really good, you know, states with really good education, but it works the other way, that you could get some weaker education, you know. So you kind of got to look at all that, you know. It's a bit strange. Now another thing that Jay says at the bottom of that comment is about he says that alt chords probably didn't come around in the bebop era, whereas I actually disagree with that. I think that they were around in the bebop era and probably before the bebop era. What it is in the 1930s and 40s, you didn't want to be playing that kind of stuff, alt chords and, you know, all that kind of stuff, because you get your head chopped off. I mean, you don't believe me? I'm going to read this. This is comments that were made in the bebop era against bebop musicians who Jay is saying were nowhere near as advanced as we are today. You know what I mean? He's saying they didn't have alt chords in them days, so they're kind of like, he's implying that they're not advanced, you know, which I also disagree with. I think they were advanced players then. They knew about harmony, you know. Even if you listen to Duke Ellington and his mob, they all knew about harmony. And Coleman Hawkins in the 1930s playing some very advanced stuff in the 1930s, but they couldn't go too far with it because society wouldn't allow them, and they had to make a living. So I just want to reinforce that by reading a little bit out of this book. This book is called The Amazing Bud Powell. It's by Guthrie P. Ramsey, who actually did a PhD on Bud Powell. This is a book based. It's a really good book. This actually, it's a very very good book. It's difficult to read. It's done in a more academic style, but it's a very good book about the bebop era. But I'll just read you this. I'll switch glasses. I'll just read you this on criticism, right, in the bebop era. It says, the journalists who wrote about bebop left behind a trail of print in the popular and trade press documenting a colourful and instructive controversy with titles such as How Deaf Can You Get? That was from 1948, and Do You Get It? That was from 1949. Remember, 1948 and 49, bebop was at a supreme peak. I mean, that was a great time to be in America to listen to music, because bebop was really on top form in them years. Many of these articles range in tone from bewilderment to hostility to outrage at bebop. In a record interview, Charles Miller writes as if peer pressure had forced him to deal with the new music. Although I'm less than enthusiastic about a style of jazz called bebop, I feel that it's worth writing out because it's attracting an increasing number of listeners, and because it might someday make more sense than it does now. His description below, particularly his choice of words such as weird, neurotic, foreign, allows us to experience a bit of the distancing effect bebop had on some contemporary listeners. Interestingly, these terms function perhaps unwittingly to emasculate the work of bebop musicians, especially the embedded innuendo that they were not involved in serious creative acts and seemed to be just fooling around. Bebop isn't easy to define, but I think it's safe to call it highly experimental. Bebop musicians like to fool around with weird sounding chord effects and unusual complex melodic and rhythmic patterns, producing stuff that's comparatively foreign to many ears. For my money, it's an interesting neurotic style, and except for occasional passages that show imagination, I want no part of it. I mean, that's just a sample of what Geoffrey gives you in that book on bebop criticism. Now, if you're a bebop player, sorry, just switch me glasses back. If you're a bebop player in the 1940s and you're reading that all the time in the press, remember that's right up to 1949, they were writing this in 50s onwards, you ain't going to be wanting to put really complex stuff in your music, you know what I mean, on really, complex rhythms and stuff. They were already pushing the limits, and you've got all this, let's try and get people to understand this bit first before we go on, And what happened is the music went to what? Cool style, which was much easier to listen to, weren't it? I mean, it's much nicer to listen to what Jerry Mulligan and Lee Konitz and Art Pepper, the West Coast style Art Pepper and all those people were playing than what Charlie Parker, Dizzy and Bud Powell were playing. And then later on, when it kind of subdied, the hard bop era came along, well, let's go back to bebop, you know what I mean? But we'll play his own original compositions. So you got to imagine that in the 1940s, right, musicians were under a lot of pressure, a hell of a lot more than they were now, and they were just getting abused all the time. In fact, when Charlie Parker in that in that interview, No Bop Roots in Jazz, he says that bebop wasn't jazz. And I think the reason why he said it was he was fed up of reading all this garbage into musical press. So let's just say it's not jazz, right? So you listen to it you've got to listen to it in a different way, He just wanted to separate bebop from jazz so that the jazz critics are not attacking him all the time. That's what I think anyway. But obviously Dizzy came back in the next issue of Downbeat and says it is jazz, So Dizzy wasn't going to stand for that. He was going to fight these people, Right, so that's basically what I said, the last bit of Jay's question when he says that Altcoz didn't come around the bebop here. They did. They knew about all these things, but they just didn't play it as aggressively. I mean, most of the time during the bebop, they were studying concert music. Well, a lot of this stuff would have been done in concert music 100 years before anyway. Okay, so those are the the questions. I just want to finish off by saying I really don't want to be talking about things that I haven't talked about in the harmony course, or videos I haven't put on yet. It's just silly jumping to alt chords when we need to build up to alt chords and then see out why they came along and stuff like that. And you want to be seeing how they built and see it all in your mind. If I'm answering questions like that where somebody's putting on linear chords, I know it's not really a question, he's put a statement on, but if I'm talking about things like that now, when we haven't got there, there's so many people out there are going to be really confused. So I don't want to. So no questions, please, on any modern musicians. Don't want to talk about them at all. I might discuss them later on when we've done more. We'll look and say, how are they playing compared to the bebop era, the musicians in the bebop era, and compare their playing. I might do that later on, but certainly not now. And I don't be talking about advanced harmony. This is further on in the course until we get there. Then we get there, we can all have a discussion. At the moment, it's just going to be a discussion with me and the people who are advanced, So I don't want to do that either. And as far as books are concerned, there's no one book. I've said this loads of time. I've never read any book on jazz, bebop, whatever. It gives you everything. You get a bit of information here, a bit of information, and you've got to put it together yourself. So the bebop journey, the jazz journey is never ending. You just take it all in, you know what I mean? But like I said, that's a really good book to start with. The Hellman and Lorne. I've already done a review on that and I thought it was really good. And another one is the Barry Nettles book, right? Which is Harmony and Chord Scale Theory, which covers the Berklee Harmony course, which people like Adam Neely, he's done the Berklee Harmony course as well, so he will know all that. So he's your man to ask more advanced harmony questions if you want to. If he'll answer your question, because a lot of people tell me that he don't answer questions, but he's got thousands and thousands of subscribers, so he can't really, can he? He can't answer individual questions. I think he does a good job actually, Adam Neely. To say he's one guy and all those people send videos and he analyses all those videos on that, how not stuck at music. I just think it's marvellous. I think it's absolutely marvellous what he does. God, I'm really bumming up. I nearly have to slag him off once, But anyway, so that's that one answered. Hopefully I'll edit this down a bit. So I'm going to carry on now with some proper harmony, I think, video. Okay, bye.